Hello guys, what's up? Welcome to another Cargo Kings video. Today I want to talk about a really important topic. It's been in the news on the internet, and it's been kind of fading away here. But I really want to talk about the situation that is Idubbbz is a simp. So for background, for anyone who doesn't know, Idubbbz's girlfriend Anissa Joma, she received breast implants. The rumor being that Idubbbz himself paid for those breast implants, and then she started an OnlyFans account posting lewd pictures on the internet for people to pay for and to see. So everyone started calling Idubbbz a simp, and in return he claimed he's not a simp and he doesn't even care, and he supports her. This is like, he is in support of this. Recently, ever since he defended himself, I've even seen some of his fans or just people on the internet coming around saying, he's not a simp, I'd like to put my opinion in there. I don't know if you want to call this a final say, but I'm really going through the definitions of simp and really good, and just identifying his actions, and through those we will discover once and for all if Idubbbz is a simp. So to start, the definition of a simp, and I pulled these definitions off urbandictionary.com. So the definition of a simp is, the top definition, a man that puts himself in a subservient, submissive position under a woman in hopes of winning them over without the female bringing anything to the table. So if we want to put this in layman's terms, this is a man who is allowing the woman to dominate him in the hopes of either winning them over, making them happy, and the female doesn't have to do anything of value. So let's go over Idubbbz's actions here. First, Idubbbz paid for her breast implants. Now that's in and of itself is not a simp thing. That, you could have an opinion about that. It's not necessarily like the most awesome thing ever. But it's also not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, who knows? Who am I to say? But he paid for her breast implants. Alright. Now, it is just a rumor. I don't know for sure. There may be a confirmation somewhere on the internet, but for this video, for the sake of this video, we are going to assume that it's true. The next point is he supports her posting lewd pictures on the internet. What does that mean? He is accepting, he is okay with his girlfriend posting sexual pictures for other men on the internet. This is similar to if you were dating someone or you were married. Maybe not marriage, we'll just stick with dating. If you're dating someone and your girlfriend is sending pictures of herself in her, I don't know, just in a bikini or in underwear, just in a way that is obviously sexual to other people that maybe you know, maybe you don't know, but there are other people paying for these pictures. Would you be okay with that? I personally would not be okay with that. The reason I would not be okay with that is because in a relationship, you're supposed to be committed to each other, and one of the parts of that commitment is a sexual commitment. And I know not everybody jives with that. Not everyone is going along with the whole like we only have sex with each other kind of thing. And there are labels for that. But at the bottom line, this is not a normal behavior, and I'm not going to act like it's normal. Allowing your girlfriend to post pictures of herself on the internet, lewd pictures for other people, that is an obscurity in today's society, and I will treat it as such. Now, does that make it, is that a simp? Now, in that situation, he's not necessarily putting himself in a submissive position. It's not like, we don't know for a fact that she is saying, I want to post these pictures on the internet so I can make money, and then him saying, okay, you can do it, it's okay, just please stay with me. We don't know that for sure. We don't know that he's begging her to stay with him. We don't understand the dynamic in their relationship. So he might be a simp, but he might not. Now we'll go over this more. So some people are saying, well, he's not a simp, he's a cuck. So what's the definition of a cuck? Well, there's two big definitions. The first definition that I see a lot is it's just a man who lets his wife or girlfriend have sex with other men. This is actually not the main definition, at least that I found on Urban Dictionary. This, and we'll talk about this more, is important, but the main definition is a man who is desperate for acceptance, approval, and affection from women. This desperation has led to the compromise of his beliefs and values, the desecration of his dignity and self-worth, and his inability to stand up for himself and what he deserves as a human being, e.g., example, loyalty, fidelity, and honesty in a romantic relationship. Alright, so we have these two examples. It's either a man who is willing to give up his beliefs and values, his dignity for a woman, or it's someone who lets his girlfriend have sex with other men. Now, is he doing either of those things? Now, obviously, his girlfriend's not having sex with other men, but she is sending lewd pictures to other men. And while he might not be like under that definition of cuck, he might not be a hard cuck, but on some, it is a little cuckish. All right. Then to go to the other one, is he compromising his beliefs and values? Well, that's what I want to get into next. So far, just to summarize everything we've gone over so far, we don't know if he's a simp, and he might be a little. He's at least a little bit of a cuck. He's at least a little bit of a cuck. All right, he might not be a huge cuck, but this isn't an end of the world thing. This ruins everything. He's a cuck. No. So let's go over why the reasons he might be doing this. First, he thinks it's hot, a fetish. If he thinks it's hot, if he thinks his girlfriend posting pictures for other men on the internet is really attractive, thinks it's awesome, and he was just going forward with it, let's get some breast implants and post pictures of you on the internet. It's gonna be awesome. I'm so that is so and if he's just sitting there I don't know, looking at maybe he pays for the OnlyFans too, and he looks at the pictures. Who knows? If that's the case, that would make him a cuck. I would 100% say that would make him a cuck, because it's at what point do you draw the line between cuck and just having a little bit of imagery going through your head? I don't know. I would say that if he's okay with her doing this, getting an OnlyFans, posting lewd pictures on the internet, and the reason why is because he thinks it's attractive, then I would say that line has been crossed and he's a cuck. The next one is he's trying to make her happy. Is he trying to make her happy? Again, we don't know. But if he is just trying to make her happy, she's been upset in the relationship, she really wants this, he's not okay with this, bottom line, not okay with this, but he just wants to keep her as his girlfriend, and he felt like he needed to do this to make this happen. Well, if that's the case, then yeah, he is a simp, because, as I said, a simp is someone who puts himself in a subservient position under a woman in hopes of winning them over. That's exactly what he would be doing. If he's just saying that he's okay with it, but he's not really, then that makes him a simp. Now, like I said, this isn't a normal thing. I wouldn't be okay with it. Most of my friends wouldn't be okay with it. Most people would not be okay with it. Most men would not be okay with their girlfriend posting lewd pictures on the internet for other men. So if that's the case, there's a good chance he's a simp. But I won't make that statement for sure. But there is a good chance he is a simp. There is a very good chance that he is doing this to try to keep her in the relationship in a way that compromises his own beliefs and his own dignity, which in that case, it also makes him a cuck. So if he's doing this for that reason, it makes him a simp and a cuck. That is worst case scenario. Best case scenario, in my opinion, is he just doesn't care. No, what does that mean if he doesn't care? Well, I would say that means he just isn't committed to this in a lifelong way. When I think of a relationship, I think of, I'm in this relationship to see if I really love them, and if I really love them, then I want to get married to them, and then we're gonna attempt to live together forever and have kids, and just try to really, that kind of commitment this breaks the conventional lines of that. Like, some people might think that you can have that lifelong commitment and also have, like, do things like share lewd pictures with other men and have the men go to bars. And this is kind of like a very twisted idea of the traditional marriage and traditional whatever. If he doesn't, at the end of the day, if that's the case, maybe he sees this in an untraditional way, or if he just literally just doesn't care, I would say that it says something about his values. He's just uncommitted to this idea of having, like, all of her is his and all of him is hers. It is not a traditional situation. And I would argue, in my opinion, and I don't know this for sure, I would make the point to say that it's probably that he just doesn't care. Like, it's her, he's thinking it's her life, she can do what she wants, I support her, whatever. But I said earlier that was the best case scenario. But even under that situation, the implications, the things that it affects for Anissa's actions make it still a bad reason. So what is the turmoil of Anissa's actions? Well, I guess you could say there might be some fighting going on in the relationship. Again, we don't know what's going on. The main thing that has happened, that undoubtedly has happened, is his rep has been ruined. So, I mean, can you really even argue against that? I mean, so many fans have turned their back on him, and we can get into why later. But the main thing is that his reputation is ruined. His dignity was almost ruined. So if Idubbbz is willing, what does it mean if he's just okay with her doing all this, and full well knowing that his reputation is being ruined? That means he is willing to give up his dignity, his self-worth, maybe not to himself, but to other people, his reputation. He's willing to give that up for a woman. I would say, if you were willing to give up your reputation for a woman who's not doing anything for you in return, that would be, under the definition of simp, a man who wants to put himself in a subservient, submissive position under a woman. End of the day, his reputation is being ruined. He's okay with it, even though she's not doing anything on her side. It's a lose situation for him, a win situation for her. So I would say, under the definitions of simp and cuck, yeah, he's very possibly a cuck, assuming he likes it. He thinks it's hot. And then even if he doesn't think this is like hot, I would say he's a cuck anyway, because he's willing to give up his dignity, his self-worth, his reputation. And then under the same lines, using that same logic, I would say that would also make him a simp. So why does this matter that Idubbbz is a simp? Why do we care? And yes, I would make that my final statement here. I do believe Idubbbz is a simp, and I also believe that he is a cuck. Why does this matter though? Who cares? Who cares if he's a simp, if he's a cuck? Even in his response video, he said, "I didn't ask to be thought of in this high, holy manner." He said, and I quote, and this quote could be like the wrong wordage, but I quote, "I'm not your dad." It's the reason it matters is because Idubbbz, to his fans, back in 2016 up till now, was, I think, all of these three things that I'm about to mention. The first thing is, Idubbbz was a beacon of reason and logic. During 2016, you had a large thought-policing and like very liberal, like extremely far left movements going on, right? This is the stuff that led to Donald Trump being elected in the United States. Very far left liberal, like everything was getting really crazy. Like they were putting labels on hate speech. You weren't allowed to say your opinion. You can't make dark jokes anymore. Everything was being changed on the internet, and you still feel that change today. Idubbbz, amidst that, stood up and said exactly what he thought. And not only did he say what he thought, he said it in a way that made sense, right? And then when other people messed up, and the best example of this would be the content cops, he would point out their hypocrisy, their flaws, and he would do it in a way that shows a structure of value. Idubbbz to his fans was a beacon of reason and logic. What does that mean? It means back in 2016, back when he started to rise to fame, on one side you had this very large movement of a far left liberal ideology that was thought policing everyone, telling everyone you can't make these kind of jokes, you can't say this to certain people. But Idubbbz came around and he said exactly what he was thinking. He continued to make dark jokes, make fun of people, do things that we used to be able to do, and very lighthearted things. And I understand that making fun of people is not necessarily nice, but he would do it in a way, like for example, he would make content cops and he would point out their hypocrisy and flaws, and he would give a basis of reason. So when we watched that video, it wasn't just like, oh, he's just senselessly making fun of, like, trashing this person. It's like we have a set piece of values. It was almost like he led an ideology of truth and reason and not being a hypocrite. There was just a sense of purpose to what he said. Now, whether he likes it or not, he was one of the main people who was kind of in this, like, you should be able, like, free speech kind of movement. You should be able to say whatever you want to say. You should have the freedom to speak your thoughts and speak truth. And if there's a truth that makes someone, it hurts their feelings, it doesn't matter, because it is the truth and people need to get over it. And then the last thing just being that people need to stop being so sensitive, because a joke is a joke and people shouldn't be losing their careers based on a joke when it's a joke. And on the internet, as I've said now a couple of times, Idubbbz was a big figure for this. He was a huge figure. Now, what does this have to do with him being a simp? It has to do with amongst all this, pointing out people's hypocrisy and going around and trashing other content creators who are flawed. We have built up during that time. We build up this image of who he is. He is a beacon he's a beacon of hope for young men. This is like an ideology. The problem is when Idubbbz started to lead this charge of all these different I don't know, ideas, like different symbols, different things, values that we really cared about. Think like all the things I've just mentioned. When he did that, it put him on a pedestal as like the leader of that. And whether he did it on purpose, which I'm assuming he didn't, whether he did it on purpose or if it was just like he just found himself, he just was going through life and he just wound up on this pedestal, then it doesn't matter, because people looked up to him as someone they looked up to him as someone who could not get got. He was untouchable. And once it came out that he is a simp or a cuck, what that means is he is not the flawless human being that we decided that he was. Now, yeah, he's not our dad, and yeah, maybe it was wrong of us to put him on that beacon, but at the end of the day, he is kind of a simp and he is kind of a cuck. And what does that mean to all of us? It's just a disappointment, and that's all you can really say about this whole situation. It's disappointing. And I think that the real takeaway from all this is we got to be careful about who we idolize and who we put up on a pedestal, because we're all human and we all either make mistakes, or just in this case where this might not be a mistake, it's just we have traits that other people aren't going to think are awesome, and I guess that's just how it is. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. Tell me what you guys think. Is he a simp? Is he not a simp? Either way, I'll catch you next time. This is Cargo King Genie signing off. Have a good one.